Major League Journeymen. We got a great episode for you today. We're going to run down the top 10 list. We haven't done a top 10 list, but in honor of our 56th episode or 42nd or 54th, who's counting? We're going to go through the top 10 pressing items of Major League Soccer in the middle of June. This is when things get hot. Tune in. Major League Journeymen. We are back. Dax McCarty reporting live from the nation's capital, Washington District of Columbia, my former home. Also my former home. Also your former home, current home of Georgetown University. The Hungry Hoyas. What's up, boys? How we doing? Coming off a fresh, respectable performance at the TST. I think they made it to the quarters. Gordo, did you see them play at all?
Yeah, they lost to Indiana, but solid performance.
Highlighting a loss interesting to you because you only saw losses, being a part of the Sneaky Fox, which is good. We do have a pretty good rundown. So we're about the midway point, right? Of the season, at least closing in on it if we're not exactly there. We got top 10 topics. Top 10 topics, a lot of things that we can cover, a lot of conversational topics, but I want you guys to keep it brief. I want to hear your concise thoughts, and I want you to nail the answer so that the other individual has no rebuttal. Gordo, I'm starting with you.
That's perfect for me. That's perfect for me.
I'm giving you the layup. I know that. Okay. I know you're not great with words. You have a limited vocabulary. I'm trying to help you out here. Dax is a little.
It's going to be really hard for me. Let's just acknowledge that.
This is going to be tough for Dax. Gordo, topic number 1. Does Miami win MLS Cup?
100%.
100%.
100%.
Is that?
I cannot be more concise and precise than that. And the reason is, how many times have I bet against Messi? And I'm the idiot. I'm the fool. And my son listened to the podcast. He said, "Dad, you had no faith." I will not bet against this dude. I will not bet against Messi. They're bringing on Di Maria, and
is this breaking news at the Journeyman?
Breaking news, right?
Your sources are indicating Di Maria's done.
Listen, I mean, knowing that what they're doing in the regular season, and they're exceeding all expectations as far as I'm concerned, get them in a game that matters. I'm going to pick the best player on the field, and that's going to be Messi for me. And so that's it.
Dax, you got the field. Are you taking the field, or are you following up Gordo and running down the pink train?
I'm taking the field. Hard to bet against Messi. I agree with Gordo. I've got the guy's jersey. We all know about that. Don't need to go into it again. But attacking juggernaut, scary going one way, and then they should be scared when teams go the other way on them because they're defensively extremely fragile. And I don't rate the right back that they brought in very highly. I think he's a weak link on their back line. I think Jordi Alba's a winger, and I think they leave their 2 center backs on an island with an absolutely magnificent Sergio Busquets who gets exposed in transition. I don't think they win MLS Cup because I think in a one-off game, they can be exposed.
I can't disagree with anything that either of you are saying, but I'm going to skew towards the field just because of the numbers. Their back line has been poor, and we all know that you're in the playoffs. You need a good, solid defense, and the tacticians that are in Major League Soccer are getting better. Game plans are getting better, and when you get to the playoffs in a 2-game series, I feel like it's going to be really difficult for Miami to expose themselves like they do and find results over 2 legs.
And I hate to be this guy because I'm the old guy now, and I'm obviously talking against myself here, but Luis Suarez and Leo Messi are about to play in very rigorous summer competition. And Suarez looks like he's hobbling around already. It's just hard to believe that these guys are going to be fresh, fit, and sharp come November, December. I just put them through these tournaments, put them through World Cup qualifying, put them through Leagues Cup. hey, guess what? We have the playoffs coming up. I don't know. I just don't know. I'm questioning the health of this team going into the playoffs.
Yeah, but Dax, they've done this their entire career. This is nothing new to them. It would be a lot for
Right.
it
You're
would
right.
be
They've done it their entire career, not at
right.
age 36, 37.
I agree. I agree. But how many people doubted Suarez because he's literally limping around? How many goals does he have this season?
Guy's class, dude. The guy's class. I'm just saying, we know how it is when the summer comes around. Boys, a month ago when we played in Miami, it was excruciatingly hot. Just wait till August rolls around and these guys are still rolling through games in the summer. I mean, look, that's for Tata to figure out how to rest and rotate these guys, kind of like he did, not playing them in Vancouver, not making them fly across country. Big hubbub about that, but that was the right decision. So you can only rest them so many games. So I just look, there's a possibility they're all fit and ready to go, but there's also a bigger possibility, in my opinion, that one or more of them just aren't ready to play.
To be honest, somewhat shocking that they went into Philly and picked up a result without Messi, without Suarez, 2-1, also down 2 men to finish that game.
Insane.
Doesn't look good for Philly. After the game, Kai Wagner comes out after being rewarded with a new contract, after going through the saga that was this offseason for the Philadelphia Union, and make some pretty pointed comments towards the front office about them not having the players that they need, them not investing in the roster, them not going out and getting any more talent. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but anytime anybody in the organization made comments about a roster not being good enough, as a participant or as a part of that roster, I always felt like that was directed straight at me. I don't know why. It just felt like, hey, I'm a part of this team. I'm in this together. I'm not publicly going out and talking shit about our team, which was always just, it always blew my mind whenever I saw it. And I immediately cast that player off. Does Philadelphia make the playoffs? Dax.
Yes. They make the playoffs. Because
are they still a team that has any juice in them?
They are not going to be a competitor, I think, for MLS Cup. No, but they will make the playoffs. I do think they will bring in a couple reinforcements, obviously, just based on, I think, what they've done in the past. I don't think it's going to be anything earth-shattering, but let's remember, they just sold probably their best player. I think Carranza's done to Feyenoord, I believe.
I don't think it's official, but, or at least it hasn't
been announced. Okay, well,
it hasn't materialized.
I think Jim,
but yes, he's on his way out.
I think Jim made some comments.
Yeah,
I will say my answer comes with a caveat. If you don't replace Carranza, then this team is teetering on the brink. But I have faith in Jim Curtin as a coach. I think he's a wonderful coach. I think he will figure it out, and I think this team will get into better run of form in the second half of the season. They will make the playoffs. But I don't think we're seeing the same version of Philly that we've seen the last couple of years, and I think they're going to have to do a significant turnover of that roster in the next year or two.
Gordo, you have Kai Wagner comments, Alejandro Bedoya, similar comments, Andre Blake, similar comments. Jim Curtin comes out after the game, says pointedly to a reporter, the players that we have are the players that are here. You know this. Again, how does Jim, arguably the most successful Major League Soccer coach right now, most consistent, how does he do what he's done moving forward?
I don't know, Gargs. I don't know. I just feel like for Philly, you just have the end of a dynasty. It's tough to call them a dynasty because they fell short of a few trophies, but they were there, dude. Okay, arguably we'll call them a dynasty, right?
I think it's fair. They're a second-tier dynasty, right?
Second-tier dynasty, right? Yep. And it's just with any really good run, there just comes a moment, a year where they want to do it and they're doing the right things, but the magic is gone. And so I agree with Dax that it just needs to, they got to start over. And this is the year that's going to prove they need a complete reshuffle. And so for that reason, I'm picking them to miss the playoffs. I think they want to do it. I think Jim Curtin is a great coach. I just don't think it's there, and so the stretch is gone, and it turns into a rebuild year. And you're always going to have a year where, because of the expectation and how well they've done in the last 6-7 years, you expect them to make the playoffs, but it would have happened by now if they were going to be able to do it, unless they bring in two guys, like you said, that are really going to replace and kind of catapult them. But they need some game changers.
So follow-up question to that, Gordo. Ernst Tanner, the sporting director in Philly, wanted to get rid of Kai Wagner, wanted to get rid of Ali Bedoya. Did he miss his window to do that? Did he ruin his year by not getting rid of those guys?
The honest question is yes. And we were honest, and we thought Bedoya was being wronged because of the stretch and the leader that he is. Mm-hmm. But this is why, like a Bill Belichick, you get rid of him a year early, and it's not fair to the player. And I'm going to back the player. You're going to back the player because we were journeymen, and we feel for the player side, but for the organization and the team to make those moves early. Takes some guts, it takes some balls, and it ultimately is what makes geniuses on the GM side, is you have to predict those things. So yes, they did miss it. They deserve it. Those players deserve it. They deserve to be there. It's like Jordan when he was leaving. It was like, hey, we deserve to have a year where we lose it. But they didn't give it to him. Mm-hmm. They didn't give it to him. Mm-hmm. It didn't work out for them. They didn't win no more championships, and they suck forever. But the theory was right. You know what I mean?
The theory was right. Hey, I do know what you mean.
You know what's interesting about Kai Wagner is that Ernst Tanner is probably thinking, screw this guy. I didn't want to bring him back. And now I brought him back, and now he's throwing me under the bus again. And totally. By the way, Kai Wagner, Bedoya is in a similar situation to me. Probably not a ton of value on the open market. He's not going anywhere. He's got his family. He's settled in there. Like that, he's ending his career there. But Kai Wagner's got a lot of value in MLS. The problem now is if you're Ernst Tanner and you trade him now, well, then it screams sour grapes, and it screams I'm just doing this out of pettiness because I'm pissed off. Mm-hmm. This guy's questioning my job now, right?
Totally.
So it's a really interesting dichotomy about how they're going to handle that situation. Look, for me, the bigger question, and I know we've gone a little overboard on Philly, but this is the bigger question for me is, does Philly, if they do have a poor year and if they don't make the playoffs or if they scrape into the playoffs and peter out in the first round, do you let Jim Curtin do a rebuild like you did with Peter Vermees in Kansas City? And I think the answer is unequivocally yes. You give him the keys and you let him do a rebuild because he has earned that. Because like you said, he's been one of the best coaches in the league for a number of years now, 6-7 years now. He's earned the right to try to rebuild this team back into the winner that they were. So that will be, for me, the more interesting question at the end of the season.
Yeah, hey, Dax, the question. Think about this. Hold on, real quick. Think about this, Dax. If Nashville held on to you, mm-hmm. Okay, they're having an absolute awful year, right? Mm-hmm. They would be blaming you.
Probably.
They would be like,
why we held on to him a year too long. Yeah.
One year too long.
Sure.
Right? And so
that's how it works.
That's how it works, dude. Isn't that crazy?
Now that's the bad thing about the Bedoya situation is that, he was contributing, I think, at a pretty good level for the most part for them throughout the year. He's injured now. And so now he's out for 3 or 4 weeks, and you sit there saying, well, you got a 37-year-old here. Is he starting to break down? All these question marks that are going to come into the fray eventually. And Ernst Tanner's sitting there thinking, this is why I didn't want to bring this guy back.
Yeah, which is also somewhat BS because
it is BS.
Everybody goes through a 3 or 4 week spell of getting injured, and Bedoya has taken fantastic care of himself. Here's the real question for me. Jim Curtin has no risk of being there long term. Jim has earned every bit of the new contract that he got, I think, this offseason. The question for me is when that rebuild starts. Does it start right this second? Does it start in shipping Kai Wagner out? Do they start to transition this and throw Kevin Sullivan on the field? Do they start to really kind of rebuild the pipeline of young talent that they are notorious for and deservedly so? Or do they wait until the offseason and do they let this thing ride out and see if Jim can work some managerial magic and get some of the mojo back? It'll be interesting to see. I tend to think that it's going to start now, and they're going to start to make some changes right away, because you called it out, Dax. There is some value on that roster that they could turn over and start to play some younger guys. I could see it happening, and I could see it soon. All right, Gordo. Actually, you know what? I'm going Dax here. Dax, best team in Major League Soccer right now, today. Right meow. Who's the best team?
FC Cincinnati.
FC Cincinnati, why?
And it hurt because they have, for my money, the best defense in the league and the best playmaker in the league. But I say that with the caveat that Matt Miazga is not injured long-term, because he just picked up what it seems like is a fairly significant injury in the game that they played against San Jose. I'm hoping he's all right. Obviously he's a rival, but I've known Matt for a long time. We were back in our Red Bull days. He's a friend. And so I hope he's okay. But at the end of the day, it looks like it's going to be a relatively significant knee injury. I don't know. They haven't announced anything yet. They're still, I think, looking into it. But you're missing Miles Robinson for the next, let's call it 3 or 4 weeks. You're missing Matt Miazga for, let's call it a couple weeks until we know more info. Those are your stalwarts. Those are your horses. You ride those guys all season long. You play 3 in the back. You give Lucho Acosta a free roll because your defense is so good and your goalkeeper's excellent. They are, for my money, the best team in the league right now. I was able, after our game, we played Houston, I was able to watch a little bit of the second half of San Jose and Cincy. And Cincy went down.
Who's their 9?
They signed a new kid. This guy named Kevin Kelsey. He's like a really big, strong center.
He's more like a left winger.
No, he's a center forward. He's a big boy, dude. Big boy. We played against them. It was one of his first games against us. He scored a goal in the back post header. Anyways, the point is Cincinnati goes down 2-1 in San Jose, and all the momentum in San Jose's favor. Yuya Kubo scores a hat trick in 10 minutes with Acosta.
10 minutes.
With Acosta, and he came on as a sub, and Acosta was just dancing around players. And look, San Jose, whatever, they're not the best team in the league. We all know that, but still on the road in a tough environment, 10 minutes left, and you managed to find 3 goals to win 4-2. Listen, not a lot of teams in the league can do that. They just can't. They just don't have the attacking firepower, and they don't have Lucho Acosta. I mean, the guy's brilliant.
Well, to be fair, nobody's taken Yuya Kubo on their bingo card, dropping in a hat trick, but that is also the mark of a great team. That's a great team. When you
I say right now, yes, with that roster, they, for my money, are the best team in the league. But the Miles Robinson being gone, the injury to Matt Miazga, that for me can skew my answer. So ask me again in a couple weeks.
That's fair. Gordo, you got MLS Cup already claimed by Miami. Dax has taken FC Cincinnati. Is there any other challengers in your mind to the best team in the league right this second?
I mean, the only thing that I would say, and the only thing I can say, is that Columbus, despite regular season MLS play, okay, because there was a lot of question marks last year with Columbus. Did they have the teeth to get through the playoffs? Did they have the grit? Do they have that? I know for a fact that, because I've seen it, that when Columbus is firing and if they get hot, I think they're the best team in the league. So
this is factual.
This is factual. I mean, they won that. They're the defending champions, right?
They're also sitting in like 11th place.
Dude, it doesn't matter. It's when you get hot. It's when you get hot. They play the most attractive soccer in the league. They're not hot right now, but it's when you get hot. So I'm just saying, I don't disagree with Dax, but there's a lot of question marks there with the center backs as well, right?
I think Columbus is fun to like, but here's the reality. Columbus isn't scoring the way that they have been scoring. They're going on the longest stretch of a club, right? Like when you go into the competitions that you do and you have the success that you do, you continue to pile things on, you pile on more games, more sessions, more intensity. They're heading into a summer that's going to be brutal for them. That still is not going to get them out of and into a playoff scenario.
And for their sake, if they're hitting their slump right now, they should be happy. They're probably miserable because it's not happening, but this is the time to do it. If any team is going to slump, it's right now. It's July. It's happened forever. July, you're going to lose a lot of games. June, July, hot, travel, you're going to lose games. This is where you hit your slump. This is not where you want to get hot. So if Cincy, and it's probably good for those two guys to be out for Cincy as well. You want to get hot at the right time. How many times have we seen it in MLS? And I'm just saying, if they can figure it out, and I know that they can, and if they're healthy going in to the playoffs, then they're the best team in the league. They're the defending champs. It's an easy
to be
answer.
fair, they're not that far off. They're in 6th place. They're not. They also have. They're not. They also have a couple games in hand, but they're not.
They don't look.
They're not playing great. They're not playing great soccer. They're not.
It's okay.
Okay, so here's your question for Columbus. They did make one addition. They traded for AZ Jackson from St. Louis. St. Louis not in a great way right now. Definitely sophomore slump, slapping them square in the face. How high do you see Columbus finishing? They're in 6th currently.
Dax.
They're going to finish 3rd. They're going to finish third. They're going to finish behind Miami and behind
Cincy and Miami.
Cincy. And they're going to make a run. Although the only thing I will say to add to that is that I think they've won 3 or 4 road games in a row, which is pretty impressive. Even though they're not scoring at a high clip, I do agree with you, Gargs. But also, let's see how the sale of Aiden Morris affects them.
Mm-hmm.
Where's he going?
That's another big piece.
Yep. Where's he going?
Out the door.
Middlesbrough.
Where?
Middlesbrough. Championship.
It's not
Good
done yet, but it's pretty done, I heard.
Good for him. Go to a middle.
Still have Columbus climbing the ladder.
Yeah, go to a middle tier championship team. Awesome. See you, Morris.
Awesome.
Never see you again.
Probably going to triple his salary, though. I can't hate on the guy.
Triple his salary. He'll be back in the league in 5 years. He's going to have a decent run. He'll have a decent run. His trajectory will go like this. He'll come back and make some real appearances for the national team, and then they'll bring him back on a real contract.
That's actually a big loss. I didn't know that. Who do they fill that spot with?
Zawadski
the kid that
is a kid that they.
Zawadski's a player. He's a Hoya.
Okay, easy, buddy.
Stick to financial advising, Hoyas.
Yeah,
you've produced nothing.
Zawadski's okay with that.
Zawadski's a good player. AZ Jackson is a good player, although I will say in their system, I'll be curious to see because he was kind of like a winger, number 10 at St. Louis.
He sat in the middle. He lined up in the middle, but he floats out wide an awful lot. He's
good player.
He's dangerous, and he definitely has a motor. He's got a ton of energy. I don't know if his feet are as tidy as Columbus would ideally like them to be.
So the bottom line is this.
If anyone can get him to the next level, it's Wilfred Nancy, which is another factor we haven't mentioned. Is that for me, Columbus has a top 2-3 coach in the league, so they're going to be fine.
That certainly helps. Speaking of teams, Dax, does Minnesota challenge for the cup?
No.
Nope.
Interesting.
Interessante. Minnesota sitting currently in 4th in the West.
Right.
And let's be clear, the West stinks.
Yeah.
Not a good conference right now. Minnesota, new coach, a ton of talent, producing at a pretty good level right now. And Timo Pukki still not really been great, but they did adjust to their 5-3-2. I think they're rocking with the 5 in the back.
Puki's not even their starter, is he?
No, he's not. DP on the bench.
Yeah. Look, I think Minnesota, the new coach has come in. I think they're organized. I think they're tough to play against, which we lost to them at the Benz, right? So, look, I'm not. There's no disrespect here, but at the end of the day, what I see out of Minnesota is that I just don't think they have enough attacking creativity, if you will, to actually cause teams a big problem in the Western Conference and in the playoffs. I think
so. You get rid of Reynoso. You got to think that there's at least they've been planning on getting rid of Reynoso. Maybe they bring somebody in the summer transfer window.
And let me be clear. I think Robin Ludd is fantastic. Like one of the most underrated players in MLS and absolutely brilliant, but he's not a number 10. He's not. He's an attacking winger, like a number 8.
You add something to him.
He's a late arriving player in the box who can get you goals and a few assists. Like I rate him. He's a very good player. But they aren't, like, creatively, they aren't going to break you down in a way that I think the elite teams can. And so no, I don't think, unless they bring in some high value chance creator like Reynoso was, and I think unless Teemu Pukki does significantly more than he has been doing, because he's not productive right now, I don't think they have enough on the attacking side of the ball to really hurt teams in the playoffs.
Okay. Gordo, you agree? Disagree?
I'm going to be completely honest here. I haven't seen Minnesota play in months. Okay. But what I do know is from the last time that what Dax is saying makes sense. Reynoso, Puki's a good player. He's a finisher though, and he needs a creative player to break down defenses. And what we saw last year when we were really high on them,
dude, Pukki and Reynoso were telepathic.
Yes,
the two of them were incredible.
Do you remember that the passes Reynoso and Puki's a very clever guy. Like he's the type of guy that scores goals because he's ahead of you.
He's a very Wondolowski type guy that just pops up in places where you would have never expected him, and he shows up outside of your back pocket where you were like, "How did you get in there?"
Yeah, this is his strength right here. His mind. He's kind of like I was when I was a player. And so if I didn't have talent around me, I wasn't scoring goals, but if I did and guys were like on the same level as me, I'm lighting it up. So
that's exactly right. That's exactly who we think of.
Right. So, I'm with Dax.
Okay.
I haven't seen him play in a while.
Let me give you a question that you do have some context in. Bigger mirage, the LA Galaxy or Landon Donovan's excuse about whatever the hell was going on with his hair?
Dude. LD.
What is going on with our guy?
LD, fire everyone around you.
Who lets him walk out like that? In any capacity? How does that happen?
If I am a minimum, if I'm a minimum salary employee, and I am around there,
you're an hourly 1099 guy.
If I'm gonna tap LD on the shoulder and be like, "Yo, like it doesn't look great, bud. Like, hey, put on a hat."
Give him a hat. Give him something. Give him a scarf. Give him a knit cap. Shave the rest of his head off. Like what is going on? Why does anybody allow that?
His wife is on the line for that. His wife is on the line. If I'm headed out, Sandy is like, dude, you can't.
Yo, it's not. Listen, here's the thing. Landon Donovan is a national treasure. And rightfully so. There is no way that any producer on Fox at Fox should allow him to go on television like that.
It's not okay. It's a law.
Crazy.
He should sue them.
It's criminal.
It is criminal, dude. Somebody should go to jail.
Listen,
that. Like LD's my guy. Like that is.
It gave people something to talk about. Look, when I saw it, I was thinking, my first thought was like, I hope he's good. Like, I hope this isn't like a medical issue. Now that we have, seriously, I was like, Jen, it could be like medical.
We used to say that when he wore like suits that were 6 times the size that he really should have been wearing. Now it's his hair, dude. It's not okay.
Listen, now that we have context, thanks to sneaky Fox owner and GM, Mr. Michael McGee, proud LA Galaxy legend along these two heads. Now that we have more context and LD has come out and said that the world can know what was going on, I got two questions. I only have two, okay? Maybe three. I don't know. Landon, for the love of God, you had to have done your research about this procedure, right? Like, why would you not do this either a year before you knew you were going to be calling this, or just do it the day after the last kick of the game when you know that you're not going to be on TV anymore? Like, whoever told him at that place that he got the procedure done, that
you'll be good.
You'll be good. 2 weeks later, it won't show up on TV. By the way, I'm assuming they shaved the whole back of his head, and clearly they did. Well, why wouldn't he just shave it all off? Just. Well,
hold on. Let's take this one step further. Let's be realistic. Where is he putting these hair plugs? Because
I was going to say that was my other question, Gargs. That was my other question.
What are we Landon, I love you in here, LD?
Landon's been bald. Landon's been bald for 20 years.
Why today?
But it's not like
there's never a good time.
No, but it's not like people weren't going to know that he did it, right? Whatever. Even if he does the whole thing, great, awesome. You're going to have a beautiful head of hair. Conte did it. He looks great. David Silva did it. He looks great. Justin Miram did it. He looks great.
Did he? Yes. Hey, put everybody on blast. Hey, Rooney did it. Hey, this is all I'm saying.
Justin said it already, bro. I'm just saying in general. The timing of it for me, I don't understand. I'm like, whatever.
Dude, well, he's probably doing more games.
First of all, I have no problem with hair plugs. Like, you want to do that? Do it. Go ahead,
dude. I actually
want to normalize that. Record.
I want to go on record and say
it's a touchy subject for the men.
I want to say thank you, Landon, for actually going through this procedure, because the muff on his head,
shining a light on mental health, tough to watch. And awful haircuts to cover up hair plugs.
Bad to watch. So thank you for doing it. However, we could have done it in a little bit better way. Like grow a mustache.
We could have talked about the strategy.
He should have grown a mustache to take the attention away from all of that, and like we got to do something. Let's get creative.
Listen, man, it's gotten the people going. It's gotten the people talking about him.
It has certainly.
You know what? He's a good sport, though. For what he said to McGee, he's a good sport about it, and I hope he realizes that, like, it's all in good fun.
Whatever, I deserve it.
I love it. I love it. Did you see did you see the picture he posted on Twitter? The response to McGee of his beautiful hair when he was 16. It was like Porto. It was like a mullet. It was beautiful. He's like, I'm trying to get this back. So bravo, great banter, good sport.
Great banter, dude. Hey,
good sense of humor. That's how you got to handle it. That's top.
Landon always ends up on top. The guy's sharp as shit, but oh my God, that is a miss.
Hey, and McGee's, who told you that? Rafa Marquez?
Rafa Marquez was really good.
That's good.
That was really good. A+ out of McGee.
Good, man. Go ahead and do it. You look great.
He definitely got his hair plugs done in Tijuana. That is for damn sure.
I guess the bigger question is, do Gargs and Gordo think that the Galaxy are a mirage right now?
I'll go. Similar to Miami, I don't think that their defense is good enough to make a real challenge. I think that their attack is so much fun to watch. Their Peck is legit. Paintsil's legit. Pooj is fantastic. They have so much going for them. I even like the right back. Who's the Japanese right back?
Yamane.
Dude, he's awesome and he's fun to watch. But they're just toothless. I feel like they're soft, man. They're soft. And I don't like. It's tough to see it because I feel like they're going to continue to have success. They're going to get some results. They're going to get enough to be somewhat excitable when heading towards the playoffs. And then I just don't think that they're going to be able to knock anybody out.
Interesting. I can see that. But I tell you one thing: if Ricky Pooj plays at the level, if he plays at his top level, they are going to be a tough out because that team can create chances at will. I mean, he's an elite chance creator in MLS, and that we know that anyone who has a player like that, they're always in the game.
Hey, Dax. All right, I will go on record and I'll say,
yeah, you will.
I was wrong for keeping Acosta out of my lineup. We said sit start.
Yep.
Bench.
Oh yeah.
Bench, start. Right.
Cut.
Do you change your mind on Ricky?
Who were the three? I can't remember now. Was it Messi?
Was he Acosta?
Dude, I always rated Pooch, always, but the other.
No, it was Arango.
They were tough.
Puig.
They were tough answers, but
It was Arango, Puig, and
Chicho.
We can reference this later, but all I'll say is that I always rated Puig extremely high. He's a very, very good player. My question with him was always like, this guy's built like a string bean. Is he going to be able to like deal with the rigors of MLS? And the problem is he's too quick.
You can't get near him.
Kick him. You can't get near him.
Bro.
It's crazy.
He's faster.
Dude, he's like
It's
Gumby.
crazy.
Yeah,
he's like Gumby, dude.
That's
He bounces
a really good
all
shout.
over the place.
I love that shout from you, Gargs. He is like Gumby. But listen, he's a fun player to watch. I think the Galaxy are for real. I think they're going to make some noise in the playoffs. But I don't know, man. If you gun to my head right now, I don't think they get past Salt Lake or LAFC.
All right, sticking with the
Miazga and Robinson on that team, they win MLS Cup.
They'd win MLS Cup 3 times in a row. They just don't have a tough enough backline.
Yeah, it's not reliable. I would say that. It's not reliable. You don't know what you're going to get.
Let's stick with our start bench cut. Is Chicho Arango league MVP? Gordo.
I'm 2 weeks behind because I've been traveling, but yes. Is he still leading the league?
He is.
Yes. Done.
League
Answer.
MVP.
He is the most valuable player. The MVP. If you take him off of Salt Lake, they are middle of the table at best. So he is the most valuable player for any team in the league, in my opinion. There's a couple other guys that if you take them off the team, I agree, they're not the same team, right? There's some notable names, right? But for this reason, and I want to give it to a guy that truly deserves it on a team that's not stacked with other guys. That he deserves it at this point. My opinion.
God, me and Gordo before this, we said we're going to fight a lot. We're going to disagree with each other. And I was hoping Gordo would do his dumb jock thing that he does. You know what he does, Dan? He goes, oh, what's the question?
What's the question?
He's a best player. He is going to be Messi. I thought he was going to do that, and it was going to be so easy for me to be like, yes, of course Arango is the MVP. Are you crazy? And so now it's really hard for me to disagree with that. The reason is clear. If Arango keeps up this pace and Salt Lake, I think manages a top 3 finish in the West, even top 4, call it. Arango, if you take him off that team, they're a mid-table team. The production that he is providing them it's like record setting. Like, and look, I know Messi has, but guess what? Messi's going to miss games. Messi is Messi, of course, but he's going to miss a lot of games. He's going to fall off the pace. Especially if Arango keeps it up. My dark horse and my wild card, I call him a dark horse because obviously he's not the front runner in my opinion yet. If Lucho Acosta continues the form that he's on and the center backs for Cincinnati continue to miss games and Cincinnati continues to win, Lucho Acosta right now, 17 games, he has 7 goals and 12 assists. Insane numbers for a guy. He's just carrying the attacking prowess of that team. If he keeps it up and he puts up numbers like 12, 13 goals, and he was one of the first players since I think Sasha Kleshchen did it to get to 20 assists, and he gets significant. Like, I just don't know how you can ignore the guy going back to back, honestly, because I think
Dax, with that being said,
best teams in the league.
So with that being said, Dax, do you think that, because sometimes this happens, right? Like Acosta arguably could have been the MVP the last 3 years, right? We see this in other sports. Like, do you think that the success of Cincinnati will have anything to do with if he gets it or not?
I think it should. I don't know if it will, but I think it should. Honestly, I hate an MVP who's not on a good or a winning team. I despise.
I struggle with that as well.
I despise
When
it.
does that ever happen? Not often.
Dude, I think the last time it happened was Mike McGee. Mike McGee, the crazy season that he had with Chicago, and they were like pretty average.
Yeah.
But he did have an absolutely ridiculous
He had a blinder.
season.
He deserved to win MVP that year. But
And he changed teams mid-season. That's never going to happen again.
Are you sure?
Positive. He scored 3 goals in the first game for the Galaxy.
That's
and
when
then
him. Gargs,
yeah, and then
you think so too, Gargs? I'm iffy on that.
I don't think it wasn't mid-season.
Mid-season. Look it up. Statman Jack.
Woo! This will be fun. This will be fun.
Okay.
I'll just
100%.
say one of us can look it up on this episode. And we get to the bottom of it. All I'll say right now is Arango's the front runner. Gordo is correct. I hate agreeing with him. And just for the simple fact that Arango and Acosta are going to be on the field for Salt Lake and Cincinnati a lot, unless they're injured. They're not getting called into their national teams. They're not missing games. So Messi, he's going to put up great numbers when he gets back to Miami, but he's going to miss 10 games. So I just don't think for how great he is, he's not going to be able to continue to keep up with those two guys. For me, it's between those two right now, but Arango's the front runner.
McGee was traded on May 24th to the Chicago Fire for the MLS rights to Robbie Rogers.
Good for you, Gordovsky. But did he win MVP that year?
He did. Yep.
Okay.
2013.
I remember the first game of the year, he scored a hat trick, and then he just.
You're feeling so good, Gordo. You're feeling so good. You should rub that right in.
So good.
So good. Oh,
I've been right a little bit lately. 1-1
right
USA,
a little bit lately.
Brazil.
A little bit.
Okay, here we go. Next one. Dax. Bigger signing in the last week. San Diego FC. Is that what they are? San Diego United San Diego FC. Where are we at right now?
It's Real San Diego.
Real San Diego SCFC. Chucky Lozano, bringing in Mexican international, phenomenal player. Bigger signing, him or the Houston Dynamo signing a new DP, Ezequiel Ponce from Rosario, Argentina.
That's a good question, Gargs. I think the striker's a massive signing for Houston because they sorely need one. But Chucky Lozano, the bigger, more impactful signing for me. And this guy, he's first of all, he's at. I looked this up. I did a little research, Gordo. You know what research is, Gordo, for the pod?
Nope.
Okay. I looked it up. He's 28 years old. So he's coming.
That's big, dude. That's big.
Coming to MLS in his prime.
That's big.
I think at a younger age than when Carlos Vela came to MLS. And yes, I'm going to compare them. Both.
You have to.
Oh, definitely younger.
Definitely younger. He's played for big clubs, just like Vela did. And he was a massive part of the national team, just like Vela was. And this guy was a very, very good player for good European teams. You don't play for Napoli. You don't play for PSV if you're not a good player. He's a very good player.
He's a fantastic player.
An excellent signing for San Diego. Yeah. And guess what? He's right there. They're right there on the border. I think, amount of Mexican fans they're going to attract there. And San Diego in general, I just think is going to be a fantastic market to be in. I'm glad that MLS went.
Interesting. I would say that would be counterculture to just about every other person's opinion in the United States of America.
I think San Diego is going to be a great MLS market, and I think this signing is a massive part of why. I think that they're ambitious. I think that they understand what it's going to take to be successful in MLS. If I had to guess, I think they would follow a model similar to what LAFC did. And so, look, that was
in which regard?
In the way that they're going to build their roster, in the way that they're going to sign players. And it's a desirable location. Look,
give me a little more than that. Outside of having a DP Mexican.
Take out the LAs and the Miamis and the New Yorks. And for me, you can sell San Diego as one of the most desirable markets to go play in MLS.
Okay.
You're going to attract a massive Mexican fan base, and you sell the beach. Let these guys live on the beach. Come live on the beach.
LAFC, you know what? I think the real miss for California teams, is not going deeper into the Mexican market and giving
100%.
yourself more of a Mexican complexion. I don't really understand why teams don't do it, why clubs don't do it.
No question about it.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Gargs, because Chivas USA worked out really well.
I was going to bring up Chivas USA, but they did it wrong.
Chivas USA is a horrific example because their branding was awful. They also didn't do a great job from their roster construction either. Right. But I also think that they cut themselves off of 95% of fans by just saying that they were Chivas. The Chivas fans didn't like them. Chivas Guadalajara fans didn't like them. And every other Mexican didn't like them because they hated Chivas Guadalajara. That's not. We are past that.
They only signed Mexican players who either were not good enough for Liga MX and were at the end of their careers, or guys that no one really wanted. So look,
it was saying, not good.
I think that San Diego is going to tap into how desirable of a place it is to live, to sell players to come over here and play for San Diego FC. Obviously, Chucky Lozano is a great start, but I think that they're going to go and target players. Probably another big name or two, and they're going to target players in their prime who either maybe they were successful in Europe early in their careers, but they're kind of bouncing around a little bit. Guys like Denny Bouanga, guys that they go and they scout and they find these diamonds in the rough. I think their sporting director is a guy that they just announced. Maybe he's not their head sporting director, but he's like an assistant GM. I'm not exactly sure what his title is, but his name's Tyler Heaps. He was at AS Monaco. Like, they're signing people, Americans, that have connections over in Europe. So I think that the way that they're going to build this roster is like they're going to.
Well, their ownership group is connected to the Right to Dream project.
Okay.
Which is based out of Africa. I mean, essentially, they're all over the world, but it'll be interesting to see how they do build their roster.
Look, I'm just guessing.
A lot of it will be young.
I'm just guessing, but I think that they're going to build a very strong roster right out of the gate. And I think that they are going to have a home run with Chucky Lozano. So I do think the Houston guy is going to be good. I think he's going to be prolific in MLS, but he's coming from the Greek league. And I'm not trying to disparage the Greek league, but I mean, we know that it's not the strongest league in Europe, right? So look, can he be successful? Of course he can. And I think he will be, because we just played Houston and they're a damn good team. And
dude, Houston, here's I'll take the other side of this before you jump in, Gordo, because Houston's a good team and they have yet to have a goal scorer on their roster. Amin Bassi is not a goal scorer. I think that
they don't play with a striker.
He will be, and he'll be the key though. I think Amin Bassi is going to be the key. Does this free him up to actually be a playmaker? Which I think, watching them as much as I did last year, I covered a lot of their games. I felt like he was unable to be utilized the right way. He had a spotlight on him in ways that he shouldn't have had a spotlight on him. So bringing in a real striker, especially in Argentine, which I think everybody has seen that they find success in this league and they usually find success pretty quickly. For Coco Carrasquilla, who is also an absolute baller, they're a good squad, man. And if they can finish, which they haven't been able to, if they can finish with a real DP, they will make some noise. And I would have to think pretty quickly. Gordo, one last deflection to you here. Does Chucky Lozano go down as the most successful Mexican player in California when he's done?
Wow, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say no. The season that Carlos Vela had was incredible to watch. I became a vivid fan, like, of Carlos Vela. When he scored 33 goals or whatever it was, he was outstanding. It's the best season that anybody has ever had in the MLS, in my opinion. And I loved every minute of it. And I think it's, if I'm going to guess, I would say no. It doesn't mean he's not going to be a good player, but Carlos Vela was incredible, dude. Incredible.
I don't think that Lozano gets even close to having a season like Carlos Vela had. not even close. But I think it's a little bit more sustained at a higher level for a longer period of time. If Vela, if his best seasons with LA, you want to call it, where let's call it 3 years where he was just fantastic.
He had a 3-year window.
He had a 3-year run where he was
That's short,
right?
Chucky could essentially be California's
I think Lozano has a bigger
leading
window of time to be great, and I think he's never going to hit. I don't think he's going to be the goal scorer Vela was, but
no, he's not a 35 goal scorer.
As far as danger goes, as far as chance creation goes, as far as bringing in a new audience and a massive crowd and a massive following to that club, I think he's going to be a very, very big hit. And I think he has a bigger window of, like, let's call it 5 years to just really bring that club to a good level right from the get-go.
I think he's got a bigger runway to success. Granted, Vela's in LA, LAFC flew out of the gates, but there's no reason why San Diego can't. I mean, that's the way this league is built. This league is built on making sure that new franchises have success right away.
Yes, 100%.
We got 2 more topics for you. BJ Callahan is the name that's being tossed around to Nashville SC, who are in, to be fair, a rough way, a bit sideways. Haven't figured out how to get up. Dax, does BJ Callahan become the next head coach of Nashville?
I believe he does, yes. And I've just seen what everyone else is seeing on social media. I've heard the rumors. I think it's true. I think it's exactly the type of coaching profile that GM Mike Jacobs is looking for, a guy who maybe is a little bit of a diamond in the rough, maybe thinking outside the box a little bit, but a guy who's experienced and theoretically has never been a head coach in MLS, but knows MLS, right? A guy who has coached in the American landscape. He knows the American soccer landscape. He's probably worked in college soccer, probably worked in the lower divisions, worked for the U.S. national team, probably been on the staff of an MLS team here or there. I don't know his extensive coaching record, but what I do know is that when he took over the U.S. national team as an interim manager, he didn't lose. And he won some big games. And I know we've talked about how bad Mexico is, but you still got to go and you got to coach and you got to build these guys up and you got to make sure they're prepared. And he won some big games and he didn't lose. 7 games coached, 4 wins, 3 draws. And I think everything I heard from some guys that were in those camps and some guys that really liked him and thought that he did very well and is a very good coach. So I think he is the next coach of Nashville SC. And I think that he will be very different than Gary Smith. I think he's probably going to want to mold that roster into something maybe a little bit different. I think we can all agree Nashville built their roster in the image of how Gary likes to play, which we know he loves to have a solid defensive foundation. And that's how we started our MLS excursion. And I think it was very effective and successful. But now we need to see Nashville SC 2.0. We need to see what it looks like under a new manager who has a little bit more freedom to sign the players that he wants. But look, he's got pieces. Let's be honest. He's got some good pieces there. And he's got some guys under some big contracts that are some big contributors, and Walker Zimmerman and Hani Mukhtar and a former MVP, right? So I do see why it would be a desirable job for a guy like BJ Callahan and somewhere where, look, he wants to be a head coach. He gets to go to a good city and with a great fan base, biggest soccer specific stadium in North America, and almost it's not a blank canvas, but I think there's the understanding there that Nashville, I don't think it's a full rebuild, but they're also in a little bit of a mode where they need to be better, and they maybe need to bring in some new pieces to try to freshen up the team. And you have to start with the coach. And so I think he will be their next coach.
Gordo, let's say Callahan gets the job in Nashville, brand new head coach, no head coaching experience, has been under Jim Curtin, was in the college ranks before that at Villanova, in Philly, under Berhalter, under Anthony Hudson, gets a couple games as a run with the full team, back under Berhalter. How quickly does he find success?
Nothing against him, dude. Nothing against him. Everybody needs to get their start somewhere. But for a club like Nashville, I don't like the hiring. I just don't. I don't like the hiring.
Why?
Because we've talked in so much in depth about the fan base that they have, right? And the squad that they have some pieces, like Dak said. They had a really good run in the Cup last summer. Have the pieces to hire a guy that has no experience. He's got experience, right? He's been around the game, but for me, that is a market that you hire somebody with a lot of experience that is going to take you to the next level. Okay. I don't want to, if I'm the owner or the GM, I'm not hiring a guy that is going to be his trial run. And we talked about new coaches in the MLS. We talked about Ben Olsen. We talked about Pablo. We talked about all these guys, Jason Kreis. There is a learning curve. Okay. And I'm not willing at this point with my fan base to lose my fan base. I mean, you have one of the hottest markets in MLS. These guys want to go, but it depends on winning. If Nashville tanks and we're gonna hire a guy to have a learning curve and figure it out, he might be brilliant, but he's got to figure it out.
Let me give you another resume.
Just
a comparable one. Assistant coach, LA Galaxy. Assistant coach, U.S. men's national team. Assistant coach, Philadelphia Union. Head coach, FC Cincinnati. Somewhat comparable to the path that maybe BJ Callahan is on.
That's a good comparison, dude.
It didn't work out right away. Pat struggled his first year there, but there's I think the biggest challenge is if you're doing one or the other. So if you're just with the internet on the international side, I don't know if it really translates, and vice versa. If you're just on the club, I feel like it's really tough to jump in to the international side. But BJ's got experience. He's got experience doing the day-to-day. He's also been scouting players and setting up game plans for years now, where that's essentially all you do, right? All day long to get this 10-day window to slam your ideas into a team and move forward. I could see BJ having a lot of success. The most important, which is always the case, is the relationship between head coach and GM. It is the key to success or failure. And Chris Albright and Pat Noonan have it. And they had it prior to that. It'll be interesting to see. Last one. U.S., Canada, Copa America. You can only pick one. Who advances further? The U.S. has Bolivia, Paraguay, and Uruguay. Canada.
Panama.
Sorry. Bolivia, Panama, and Uruguay. Canada with Argentina, Peru, and Chile.
They ain't getting out, bro.
Gordo.
They ain't getting out.
Neither?
Canada.
We're
getting out.
Not out.
No, we're getting out.
Easier group. Getting out.
It's not. It's not a fair comparison. Canada is in a tough group and learning a new system under a guy whose system is not super easy to learn.
They're going to get pumped.
I don't agree with Gordo. They're not going to get pumped. I think they're going to be very competitive, and I think that
no lube pump. No lube pump.
I think they win a game, but I don't think they get out of the group. And I think the U.S. gets out of the group. The U.S. group is not as strong, and the U.S. is on home soil. And I think the U.S. is going to take a ton of confidence from the performance against Brazil. You throw the performance against Colombia out. That's way gone. That's long gone.
Mm-hmm.
The Brazilian,
we don't remember that.
We don't remember that. We don't even talk about that. The performance against Brazil, we talk about that a lot. We watch highlights of that a lot.
We love to talk about that.
We love to talk about that. And we talk about that till the cows come home, until first game. Okay. So we talk about that all the time, and we go to sleep at night dreaming about that performance, and we're just ready to play. And oh, by the way, our first game is against Bolivia, arguably the worst team in South America, followed by Panama, who is a good team in my opinion. And
Panama's a good team.
Panama's a good team, and I think that they're better, and I think that they are going to be a challenge, but it's on The U.S. is more talented, and they're going to win that game too. And you follow that up with your toughest group game, probably for the group winner against Uruguay.
Here's the risk. If they don't get the result against Bolivia, it gets real tough.
Yeah. Well, the pressure, they're going to win. Come on, dude. They're going to beat Bolivia. So I'm not worried about that. Canada, they got to start the tournament off with Argentina.
Oh.
And they've been
Where is that game? Do we know where that game is?
Yes, that game is in Atlanta, baby. They've been training at it's
okay.
They've been training.
Are you getting tickets?
They've been trained, dude. We're on the road for a week straight. We're gonna miss the game. But I've been watching them train after our training sessions, and I've got some juicy tidbits that I will not be sharing on the pod. I'm just kidding. I don't know how they're gonna play. But we were.
Wait, what's the story? What's the story with Jesse Marsh? I thought you were supposed to get him on the pod. Where's he at?
We just didn't cross paths. It was unfortunate,
Unbelievable.
He was going and I was going this way, and I did catch up with the sweetest sweetheart that ever did live, Jacob Schaffelberg, for 5 minutes, and I tousled his mullet and I gave him
the Tennessee water slide.
Yeah, I gave him a nice good luck wish, and Alistair Johnston, two of my Nashville boys. But look, they're going to be competitive. I don't think they're going to beat Argentina, but they will win a game. I don't think they beat I think they beat Peru, and I think they lose to Chile.
Gordo, how far does the U.S. go?
I think it's going to be a typical USA tournament, dude. I think we get out of the group. I will give them one win. I'll give them the first knockout, and then we get to the round of 16, maybe, if that's how it goes. And then I think we lose.
I think is it straight to the quarterfinals, or is there is it in round of 16, then quarters, then semis? So you're saying if they win a knockout game, I think they're in the quarters.
Well, I mean, we talked about this, and I don't have confidence in this team against top tier teams in the world, and that is our battle.
Theoretically, I'm not sure how the bracket shakes out, but I think I saw that they could run into either Colombia or Brazil in the quarterfinals. Right. And if that happens, it's a very tough ask.
It goes to quarters, so you're straight to the quarters.
Okay.
Semis final.
So you run into Colombia or Brazil, I think, in the quarters.
Yeah, I don't have that up, but you do go straight into the quarters.
I'll be a little more bold. They make the semifinal.
Make the semis.
Yep.
Like that.
You know why?
I'd love to see it.
You know why? Because all they're doing the last 2 weeks is dreaming about the Brazil game. And that's it. That's how they're manifesting those vibes, dude. That's what they're doing.
Vibes are high.
Fellow journeyman.
Hey, before we sign off, can we say one thing? We completely blew it, and we forgot. I forgot. I really wanted to do something special for our 50th pod, which we are now on 53 or 54. So it's going to be the special celebration of the 50th pod for our 53rd or 54th pod, whatever we're on now, which I've gotten a full commitment from Daniel. What's your middle name, Gargs?
Charles.
Daniel Charles Gargan for a retro throwback. Which jersey?
Listen, I played for a lot of teams. So.
A retro throwback jersey that he can sign and send to a journeyman. We're going to do another giveaway, but it is our 50th pod on our 53rd or 54th pod, if people can follow that. But yeah, from all the journeymen, we're very happy and appreciative that we have built up quite the following of journeymen and women. We appreciate all of you, and that's all I wanted to say. We'll do a giveaway soon with Statman Jack on the socials. So tag a friend, be a friend, be ready.
Be ready.
Be ready. It's coming. We don't know when it's coming. We're not the most organized journeyman there ever was.
Might be for the 57th episode. We're not sure
yet.
Might be.
It might be for the 61st. Who knows? I can't believe. What I really wanted to say is I can't believe we made it this far, but I'm really proud.
Yeah, I'm proud of us too. Well
Gordon's
done.
walking around his
done.
neighbor's house right now.
Gordo reporting live from his neighbor's house with really strong internet.
He's on mute.
Fellow journeyman, we'll see you out there.